So it's Christmas morning and you just got your first VR headset. Congratulations. Like, truly. You've either just entered a whole new world of fun and exciting games and entertainment that you didn't have access to before, or you've just upgraded to a newer model that you can now do a lot more with. But listen, I have repaired hundreds, if not thousands, of VR headsets and controllers, and unlike a lot of consoles and gaming devices, because they're moving around with you, transportable and wearable, VR headsets and controllers have a tendency to break. And trust me when I say that I've seen it all. From headsets getting chewed up by pets, to bug infestations, to being dropped in toilets, to being microwaved. Those things probably won't happen to you, but that doesn't mean that there aren't things to look out for. So today I want to share with you guys my list of things to do or to avoid doing to your VR headset and controllers to keep them lasting for as long as possible. Alrighty guys, welcome back to Fix My Oculus. If you are new here, my name's Dan, and this is the channel where we fix, tear down, repair, and talk about all things VR. I work on these headsets every single day, and I tend to get a lot of questions in my comments and emails asking how to take care of them. So I thought, since it's Christmas and there's a whole lot of new VR headset owners out there, I should probably talk to you guys about it a little bit. You might be surprised to know this, since my business repairs VR headsets and controllers, but I actually do not want you to break your stuff. Keeping people in VR is the whole mission. And now that I've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the list. Number 1, be mindful of your pets, especially dogs. They like to chew on headsets and controllers. Do not ask me why, but just don't leave it on the ground. I cannot tell you how many headsets I've opened that were just totally fine electronically, but they were completely destroyed on the outside because a dog got bored and the owner left it where the dog could reach it. Number 2, impact damage is the number 1 cause of hardware issues on headsets and controllers. Dropping the headset, running into walls, whatever. The tracking cameras on the headsets are particularly susceptible to this, but you also just risk the cables coming loose every time there's a significant drop. There's lots of little cables inside these things. Those silicone protective cases advertise that they kind of help with this sort of thing, but that's just not really been my experience. I see just as many headsets with cases get damaged from being dropped. Just try not to drop your headset or run into walls, and you should be good. Number 3, make sure that you have enough play space. Do everything that you can to ensure you have enough space to play without hitting stuff. The number 1 thing that usually makes a VR unusable or unfun isn't anything happening to the headset itself, it's the controllers getting damaged. Quest 2 controllers have these rings, and while they might look like they're there to protect your hand, they actually house tracking ribbons. And if these tracking ribbons get damaged, your ability to use the controller goes down by a lot, and it might go all the way down to 0. The Quest 3 and 3S controllers don't have the rings, but you still have to be mindful because the tracking diodes live underneath the faceplate, and one really good hit can still damage them. At the very least, it could unseat the connection that the cable has to the motherboard. And this sort of thing is kind of like dropping the headset. You may do it 200 times and have no issues at all, or you may smack them once really, really hard and then you immediately lose them. Now, if you are lucky enough to have the Quest Pro controllers and you think that this doesn't affect you, you are wrong. The cameras used in the Quest Pro controllers are the same cameras used for tracking in the Quest 2, and they are very sensitive to impact damage. The number 1 reason why Quest Pro controllers have issues or won't connect or update or anything like that is because they just got bonked way too many times. Number 4, sun damage is a real thing, and it's not really reversible. Quest 2 and 3S units are probably the most susceptible to sun damage because they have the Fresnel style lenses. Really, any headset that has Fresnel style lenses is going to be pretty susceptible to sun damage, but the 2 and the 3S are the most portable and the most common, so we see that the most. The Quest 3 with its pancake lenses doesn't really have the same problem. The magnification and the light dispersion are different with the pancake lenses, so we just don't really see it on the Quest 3. And here at Fix My Oculus, the only way that we can remediate sun damage is to replace the entire LCD screen. So just keep your headset out of the sun. Number 5, and this one does require a purchase, but get a case for your VR headset. Cases really help with storing the headsets, and they make it easier to take them places without getting them damaged. A case can keep pressure off the lenses, it keeps the controllers from bouncing around, and it gives you a more dedicated place to just put the headset instead of just setting it down wherever you happen to be. Number 6, if you have a case, add some dehydration packets to it. Get a couple of those little silica or dehydration packets and just throw them in the case with your headset. That is a pro tip there, by the way. It'll help absorb any moisture from the headset that may be coming from things like sweat or just being in a high humidity environment. And it's especially helpful if you play a lot of really active games or you live somewhere that's really humid. Moisture inside the headset is one of those slow things that causes lots and lots of problems over time. And on that note, number 7, be mindful of liquid and sweat. VR headsets are definitely not waterproof, like not even a little bit. And things like the microphones on the bottom of the Quest 2 and 3S are pretty exposed. Number 8, cleanliness. It is pretty easy to keep these things clean, but the cleaner they are, the longer they will last. On the Quest 3s in particular, skin and sweat tend to build up around the eyes here. You can remove the silicone face shield pretty easily if you need to, but for the most part, just wipe it down as often as you can. You don't have to do it after every use, but just try not to let things build up. Number 9, lens care. The Quest 2 and the 3S have these Fresnel style lenses, which are pretty durable plastic and fairly resistant to micro scratches. So if you occasionally wipe it with your t-shirt, it's not going to cause a lot of damage. The Quest 3 lenses are not. They are not durable. They have this anti-glare film that is super easy to scratch and very challenging to remove. Regardless of the model, I would invest in some alcohol-free lens cleaner and a really nice microfiber cloth. Clean the lenses regularly and remember to spray the cloth, not the lenses. Number 10, keep your play space clean. Opening up the headsets just to clean the fan out is a huge nuisance. It's possible, but it's definitely not a whole lot of fun if you don't do it all the time like I do. I would strongly encourage you to keep your play space as clean as you want your headset to be on the inside. Because if your game room is super dirty with lots of dust, the fan is going to suck that right into the headset and it's going to stay there. Number 11, charging the headset. The lithium-ion batteries in these headsets need to be treated just like any other device with a lithium-ion battery. I recommend not trying to play on it when it gets completely depleted. If the headset dies or gets too low on power, just let it charge up and then start playing again. Or keep it on a charger or an external battery pack and let that die first. Then let the headset battery die second so that you can kind of maximize your game time. Also, try not to leave it at 100% or 0% for extended periods of time. Over a long period of time, it is going to do damage, especially if it's 0 for a long period of time. Number 12, try really hard to use the right type of charger for your headset. If you lose the charger that your headset comes with, because it does come with a charger, make sure that you get a charger that has the exact same output as the official Meta one. For the Quest 3 and the 3S, that is an 18 watt adapter. For the Quest 2, it is a 10 watt adapter. Lower output adapters or just lower quality adapters are going to put off significantly more heat and potentially cause issues. I'm not going to get into a big lecture about that right now, but just trust me, I've seen it damage the board, I've seen it melt the charging port, and I've seen it damage the battery. So just be careful on that one. Number 13, use a surge protector for your adapter or your charger. Just like any other electronic device, you're gonna wanna invest in a surge protector. I've seen it more than a few times. People leave their headsets charging and then a lightning storm comes through town and boom, no more headset. It happens a lot. Surge protectors are not expensive. You probably already have one. Number 14 is joystick drift. Quest controllers all use the same type of joystick. Quest 3, Quest 3S, Quest 2, Quest Pro, doesn't matter. And that means that the joysticks in the Quest controllers are all sensitive to drift over time. There is unfortunately no real way to upgrade it to a Hall effect joystick or a TMR joystick at this time, not that I've been able to find anyway. If you do start getting drift, try calibrating the controllers in settings first. If it gets worse, you can try 99% isopropyl alcohol or a real contact cleaner. Don't just go in there willy-nilly spraying WD-40 in there. That is not what WD-40 is for, and even if it helps a little bit at first, it's not what it's for. It's going to cause issues. If the joystick drift does persist beyond that, you probably have a failing module and you'll want a drop-in replacement like the ones that we sell on fixmyoculus.com. Number 15 is aftermarket facial foams. If you do end up getting an aftermarket facial foam for your Quest, my take is that the silicone ones are a little overrated. They're super easy to clean and they're pretty comfortable, but they don't do the one thing that stock facial interfaces do really well, which is wick away and absorb things like sweat and moisture to keep it out of the headset. If you really cannot stand the cloth facial interface that the headsets come with, then I would recommend one of those perforated vinyl ones because that'll at least absorb some of your sweat. Which takes me to number 16, cleaning the facial foams. The OEM facial foams that come on the Quest 3 and the 3S specifically actually clean pretty easily. For the Quest 3, I'd recommend doing it by hand, but the 3S facial foam doesn't have any moving parts in it, so you can just toss it in the washing machine. And tip number 17 is washing the head straps. The head straps for all 3 units are also machine washable. I get comments and questions about how to wash these all the time, and you can literally just throw these in with the laundry and wash them on cold. There is a little adhesive to keep the fabric on the plastic, so I'd probably avoid hot water and the dryer, but as long as you leave them out to air dry, you'll be good. Number 18 is account setup. Make sure that you set your Quest up through a device that you're going to have regular access to. Your phone, a tablet, your parents' phone, something you are not going to lose easily. And if you're setting up your Meta account for the first time, write down your username and password. Don't forget it. Do whatever you can. If you get locked out of your account, no one can really help you. Meta's probably not going to do it for privacy and security reasons, and I can't do it. So if you lose access to your library and all of the fun games and experiences that you've purchased, those things will be pretty much gone for good. Number 19, basic troubleshooting. If you start to have issues with apps or just your device in general, I do have a basic troubleshooting process to try to get you through it. Always start by updating your firmware. There are a lot of people in the community who get really attached to a version of the operating system and they don't want to update for various reasons, but unfortunately, this is just something that we have to endure in order to get rid of bugs and app launching issues. If that does not fix it, try a hard reset. Not a factory reset, that's later. A hard reset is going to require you to turn the headset off all the way and hold the power button down for about 30 seconds until you see the Meta logo. That should clear your memory cache and help apps launch properly if you do it right. Now, if that still does not work, then you may need to do a factory reset. Try to make sure that your device is backed up and that you have all of your login information ready before you do this. Step 1 is to turn off the headset. Then you're going to hold the power button and the volume down button until you see the bootloader screen. Use the volume buttons to scroll up or down and select factory reset. Then use the volume buttons to select yes and hit the power button. You will have to go through the full setup process again, but as long as there's no physical hardware issue, this should resolve any software problems that you're experiencing. And tip number 20, the connection points for the head straps on the Quest 2, Quest 3, and Quest 3S are not very durable. On the Quest 3, the speaker arms are the weakest part of the entire headset. On the Quest 2 and 3S, it's the head strap retainer. I see people break these all the time because people are bending the straps around to fit around their head, or they're forcing the straps off too hard. Go easy when taking the straps off. Don't just yank it. Lift from the back. There's a tab here, and you want to twist. That'll prevent you from putting extra strain on that very delicate, fragile speaker arm ring. If you damage these connection points, especially on the Quest 3, it is like impossible to repair without a full teardown on the unit. The speaker mount rings on the inside of the Quest 3 and the 3S are just pretty flimsy plastic and they will break. It really doesn't take that much pressure. I see it all the time. If you wanted a little bit more assurance on this, you can invest in one of our metal speaker mount rings and send the unit in to us to install it. I'm telling you, these little rings, they break more than anything else on the Quest 3 and the 3S, and it's got to be one of the most common repairs that we do here, outside of like joystick drift. Which brings me to my bonus tip, because it wouldn't be one of my videos unless I had a bonus tip in here for you guys. If you do ever have any sort of hardware-related issues that you just can't solve on your own, you can always reach out to us here. I personally have done literally thousands of repairs on VR headsets and controllers. I've got all sorts of tutorials and tips on our channel, and if you want to send something in, you can just request a free shipping label right on our website, fixmyoculus.com. I do get a lot of questions about how the process works, and it's basically like any other electronics repair shop you've ever experienced, I guess. Except for the fact that 99% of our customers mail their stuff into us. But we diagnose everything when it gets here, and that way we can send you an estimate before we do any actual work on the device. Alrighty, I think that does it. I think that's my list. If this helped you out or you learned something new, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more VR-related content like this. And do not forget about our Quest 3 giveaway. If you didn't get a Quest for Christmas, we are giving away 3 Quest 3s. The giveaway ends December 27th, so enter while you can. It's free and it's fun, and we do this all the time, so we have a lot of fun with it. But anyway, that's really all I got for you guys today, so we will see you on the next one.